everybody. Welcome back to Reclaiming America. He's already laughing. I haven't done anything
That's because we're
yet.
back together finally.
Yes,
It's been a couple months.
Yes, I know. They finally let him cross the bridge. He's had his shots and whatever else.
I
He's
forgot
okay.
about that.
So we're glad to have him here with us, and we have an arbiter in between us in case something goes wrong.
We have the brains of the outfit.
Yeah, and you got the brain end. But anyway, welcome back to our show. I'm Bill.
I missed you, Bill. I'm Dan.
And the lovely Greta's working the machine behind us, and she's decided to be quiet today.
She's in front of us.
Behind the machine.
No, you said she's working the machine behind us. That would be back there. Old man. What are we talking about today?
You, right now. We're getting there. Anyway, why don't we open up with some international things in Israel?
Oh, boy.
And let's see if we can fill the whole hour with
regime change
that
we're
one.
trying to do?
Oh, yeah, the non-regime change that this president is trying to do along with Blinken. Blinken and Nod, we're only missing the other one. And that's because Harris hasn't figured out where she fits in that threesome yet. But we're getting there.
I've heard
Blinken,
I've
and
heard
Nod.
she's been in a few threes. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
Secret
Service, I'm joking.
I'm not going there.
FBI will be
I have
knocking on
several
my
choices
door.
for lines on that one, but I'm going to be really good. Anyway, if you haven't heard, the President of the United States is trying to lock Netanyahu and not doing any kind of attacks anymore, withdrawing, going into peace talks. And, the best line was he thinks we have to change their regime there. They need to have a new election and get rid of the man that's been fighting. Because, quote, it was their fault that it happened. They were asleep on the wheel. That was the best line I heard at this point. The same people who couldn't get out of their own way when a car's coming at them. And there's someone else is asleep at the wheel because a secret attack happened that wasn't planned.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm trying to be
So
subtle.
does that mean the Democratic Party is responsible for Pearl Harbor then?
They take no responsibility. They'll blame that.
Or the Tet
It was
offensive?
actually Trump's fault.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm surprised they haven't blamed Trump for Pearl Harbor. They blame him for everything else. Yeah, it's Biden being Biden, right? He's put his finger up. The winds are blowing this way, and he thinks he's going to make points and get more votes from the independent and
the far
Republican side by attacking Israel. The thing is, though, I read this a couple of weeks ago. Did you know that on average, Jews in America vote about 80% Democrat?
Shocking. I thought it was 90.
Maybe it's higher, but that's the number that I heard. So it makes me wonder if he's going there. They have to be doing polling behind the scenes. Are they counting on the Jewish vote just automatically staying with them?
I think they're planning on the Jewish vote staying. They're concerned about the black vote
Well,
disappearing.
they're losing that. They're
and
hemorrhaging those.
The Hispanic vote walking away from them. But they've got bigger fish to fry right now. Right now is they want to end this war and make sure that we don't hurt any more Palestinians who started the damn thing.
But we all know that this is about the election.
You think?
And he's trying to pander to his base. I get that. I understand that. But in doing so, he's going to end up costing himself the election because the overwhelming majority of people over the age of about 23 back Israel. It's the college kids that don't because they don't know any better.
You got to remember, you got the state of Michigan, which is heavily Muslim at this point.
Minnesota.
And Minnesota and possibly
they are
even
swing
Wisconsin. And they're making a lot of noise. And, he responds to noise.
The thing is there's a lot of Jewish areas, New York City being one of them. He could take a big hit there. And
I'm just, for some reason, I don't see the Jewish people leaving in droves. I just don't know why. I have no idea why they're still there after everything that's happened over the years.
That's my point. Thank you.
I just don't have any clue unless they just so on the social side of the issues rather than the international side, but they want to just deal with social issues. So therefore, they stay with the Democrats because they must love abortion. They must love all those other good things going on. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. But if they were truly backing Israel, there'd be no choice in this election. They would be running to vote for Trump.
If they're going to vote for Biden, they are voting specifically for the eradication of Israel because Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, all of them still state to this day that is their goal.
You mean from the river to the sea?
River to the sea.
Yeah, I've heard
So
that
if,
one 2 or 3,000
you know,
times.
having grown up in a Jewish neighborhood, I've talked about this before, and I'm very biased because of it, and I freely admit that. I cannot imagine, you know, my best friend's parents voting Democrat right now. I just don't see. They were so pro-Israel that what Biden's doing would absolutely, and they were liberal, would absolutely have turned them. Things must have changed in the last 40 years, apparently, because
There's no sense to this at all.
it my fear is if, God forbid, Biden does win, he's going to view it as a mandate, and then you literally are going to see Israel disappear.
He doesn't. He's not bright enough to know what a mandate is. He thinks that's going out with another guy. But we'll leave that
He'd be
one.
all for that, too, which is fine. There's not that there's anything wrong with that, right?
No, I didn't say there's anything wrong with it. I just say that's how
the
he feels.
Seinfeld line. You can
You know,
use that.
But
I'll stick that in on the edit.
okay, well, we'll make sure that one goes down right. But anyway, what you have, and you also have other countries turning on Israel now because of this.
Europe is.
Yeah. You know, and I just don't understand what he hopes to achieve by this, because everyone knows that if they do what he wants, it's just picking another date for another massacre. You know, if it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to happen again.
Well,
October
that'll be long
7th
gone
will
in
be
10 years.
replayed.
It, you know, you look at, like, I've been looking at some of the polling numbers prior to this week. Minnesota's now in play.
Well,
And I think a large reason why that is because of how Biden is handling Israel.
or not handling Israel.
Even though, I mean, there's huge areas in Minnesota that are very pro-Muslim, and that's fine. The general populace is going, wait a minute here, you know. I just, from a political standpoint, I don't get it. I could see him playing, you know, the middle of the road, and he kind of tried to do that the first years, you know, first few months, I should say. But now he's gone hard pro-Palestinian.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. And when you go to swing states, that's why I took out my phone. Because Fox News just put out a survey on swing states. And Trump is ahead 6 out of 7 and tied in the 7th.
And the one, again, there's a YouTube guy that I follow, and he tracks all the polls and does his little shtick off of it. He polls, to be fair, polls from everywhere. He's pulled them from CNN, Fox, New York Times, WAPO, all of them. So you can't say, like, somebody would argue to you, Bill, that's a Fox poll. It doesn't matter, right? This guy polls from everywhere.
He does an average poll.
And he's finding the same statistics.
Except when you look at this poll, and again, you know I'm not a great poll person. Their plus or minus is 4%.
Which means they're toss-ups. Because anything under 4 and under is...
And in Pennsylvania, you got 47-44 Trump. Toss-up can be a toss-up.
Yep.
In Michigan, you got 48-45. The same difference. Okay. Arizona, 47-42. No longer a toss-up. Outside the poll number.
Well, actually, Arizona was one he went into length on one of his videos. He's calling it for Trump high, like 10 to 12.
Well, they're saying 5 at this point.
Yeah.
Georgia is a 1-point difference, so that's a toss-up.
Called Georgia for Trump, too.
Nevada is a 4-point difference. So that's a tie.
4-point pro-Trump.
All pro-Trump.
Yeah.
North Carolina is a 6-point Trump difference.
And we all know that's probably higher than that.
Yeah, and then Wisconsin's even split.
You know, Biden doesn't win if he doesn't take, it's something like 5 of those 7. And he has to, again, I'm going by this guy, and I trust him because he seems very neutral on it. I don't, when you watch his videos, and if I find the name, I'll put it in the show notes, but he's not left or right. He's reporting it down the middle, what he's seeing. And he's basically saying Trump's going to get like 315, somewhere in there. He called Arizona already. He said he doesn't see it turning back. Nevada could switch. Michigan could switch. And he basically said it really comes down to Pennsylvania. Whoever gets Pennsylvania is going to be the president.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that close. I think Trump's going to get about 40 states.
I think you got a little bit of wishful thinking there going.
All right, 45 states. All right.
I think, well, states maybe, but I'm talking electoral.
Well,
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could win Vermont and it's 3 delegates and call it a state. Yeah, I mean.
but you got certain things that are going on. For example, they just changed in one of the states that used to divide the things up. Now they put the Republicans in charge, and the first thing they're doing in Nebraska is that they're going to go and changing the rules so that winner take all.
Yeah, instead of the 3 different districts.
Right.
And
So
Maine, I think
that's a big one.
also.
Maine's got 2 districts.
2. All right.
So that's its own issue up there. But all in all, when you go back to Israel again, they don't have a choice. Yet they seem to be buckling.
Well, that's why I'm like, if you're talking about, say, those 7 states that you read off earlier, where does it benefit Biden to go pro-Palestine? And really, it's not Palestine; it's pro-Hamas, because nobody wants to talk about that in the mainstream media. Oh, you're supporting the Palestinians. No, you're not. You're supporting Hamas. That's who's in control of Palestine. It's not even Palestine; it's Gaza. But how does he win votes from the middle, left, middle, right, middle by doing that? I don't see it. I think, if anything, he's going to harm himself.
I think he's taken the point that he's going to get New York. And I tell you something, in a long shot, New York might be in play.
I think New York's in play now.
In the long run, it might just be there. The more that this governor screws up and the legislature screws up, the more people are starting to get aggravated. And when they get aggravated, they go to vote.
Well, I'm from upstate New York, the Albany area, which is as blue as it gets. Like, Democrats win elections 95% of the vote. It's going red for Trump. I mean, it is. I'm friends with people that are hard left. Maybe not woke, but hard left. They ain't voting for Biden. They're going to sit it out.
That's
is what they're going to do.
Or they won't vote that long.
They can't possibly pull the lever for red. They'll never do that.
Well,
but they're going to sit it. I mean, they're already kind of saying it. I have no one to vote for, is what somebody said. And I went, really?
Didn't you hear what Miss Hillary said the other day about that?
No, what'd she say?
She was on one of those late night shows where she was being lauded as being the best thing since chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
Which is the same color of what I think she is. But,
and yet Monica outdid. Oh, sorry.
But anyway, so they asked her the question about how all these Gen Z people and the younger generation, Gen X, are going, we don't have a choice. And so she said 3 things interesting. First thing she said is, first of all, younger generation, get over it. You do have an option. You had a chance to make a choice. You have an option between one older white gentleman who's kindly and caring and sweet and kind and will vote, and you also have the other one who's a felon.
Who's a felon?
Who has 91 counts against him in Georgia.
That's an indictment. That's not. That doesn't make him a felon.
But the point of the matter was that's what her stand was, and that went all over the internet.
Did her husband get indicted at one point?
Yeah.
So does that make him a felon too?
I would think he.
And then by proxy, that makes her a felon. Just saying.
Or a felonette.
If an indictment counts.
Well, you got to remember, she washed all her discs and her things, so she put bleach on them, I guess.
Well, you kind of went on something that I was going to mention at some point too, which is Gen Z. They're starting to see that generation the most conservative generation.
And that's, if you look at the pendulum.
That's interesting.
And you look at the pendulum as it swings. The more that the oldest generation goes one direction, the other generation goes the other way. It's just normal.
The younger ones do.
Yeah, they
But Gen Z's bucking that trend. They're following the boomers.
Well, we're the older generation.
Right. But normally you see
we're right.
college-age kids tend to go left. What's the old rule? Once you start paying taxes, the
oldest line is at 20. You don't have a heart if you're not a liberal. At 40, you don't have a brain if you're not a conservative.
Yeah, but they're already starting there. This country is going to go hard right in the next.
Yeah, you're gonna have a pull like they did in the 50s.
Yeah,
it was swung hard right at that point.
It's
late 50s.
Obviously happened.
And that's the pendulum on move again.
And that's why.
Good news for me. before it decides to come back to the left again. I'm not sure I'll still be here. I'll be looking down from above.
I think you'll be looking up from below, but all right.
I'm going with an air conditioner just to be safe.
Now hell will freeze over once you show up. But anyway, Satan will be going, what
I'm
did I
being
get
buried-
myself into?
I'm going to be buried face down in case I wake up. I dig.
There you go.
Take no chances.
But yeah, you're starting. I think you're going to see over the next 2 or 3 decades, it really swing conservative. They're talking about the Hispanic vote, and they're trying to get all these people from South America thinking they're going to vote Democrat.
Yeah, but you see, I don't think that's the reason they're bringing them.
Oh, do tell.
So I've done an analysis on this from on high, looking
this ought to
down
be
on
good.
this, from the great wisdom that I was born with. Just ask anybody who knows me. And now that I'll pay for that
Even
one.
Henry just puked.
Yeah, Henry went to sleep on it. Anyway, I really think what all this is about, it's about 2030.
I know where you're going with it.
It's
Census.
absolutely, it's the census
yeah.
because
It is.
they got so many people walking out the door, but right now the way the law works, it's a body in the state, not necessarily a citizen. So
Right.
by filling up the 50,000 going out and they bring in 50,000, they get to keep all those congressional
Well,
seats.
it's funny because they initially were trying to swing Texas blue and Florida.
Yeah,
So
and
they
they've
were
been
letting
trying-
them all go there, and then they're like, oh, that's not working. Let's send them to New York and Cali to make up for the population loss.
Well, also you got to understand Abbott and the
Costello.
governor had a little bit of help getting those people moved north. I mean, they've been approved to sue the people that carried them.
But wait. Who has moved more people to New York? Biden or Abbott? Because I actually know the numbers.
I don't know those numbers.
83% of them were done by Biden, 17 by Abbott.
Well, that I don't be surprised. With the
So
planes landing all over
all
the place.
those migrants that are in New York City, thank your president for it, because he's the one who put them there.
Well, they come in those. I know for a fact they were landing planes at Westchester Airport
Overnight
at
flights.
2 in the morning.
Yep.
And people were meeting them and loading them on
So
buses
human
and
trafficking.
taking them away.
So they're partaking in human trafficking.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to claim Abbott's human trafficking and
DeSantis
Biden's
is-
doing 4 to 1, who's the more of a human trafficker? Just saying.
It's a matter of degree.
Yeah, 4 times as much. I mean, it's like, yeah, I saw those numbers. I actually wasn't aware it was that big. If you had asked me before I saw that, I would have said, well, Abbott's put more in. Nope, it's not even close. Which goes to your point. It's about the census in 2030. So I have a question for you. Let's just make an assumption. Trump's president, Republicans get both House and Senate. Can they get through a bill to require citizenship to be counted in the census?
Constitutional amendment.
Can they get it through and send it
No.
to the states?
It will not happen. They don't have enough to do that.
You need
It would
2/3.
It would
That's
take
why I'm
2/3 or
asking.
3
Yeah, that's
quarters.
why I'm asking. Yeah.
I remember which one is.
It's 2/3 in, well.
Well, she
is it
said 2.
2/3 in the Senate, 3/4 in the House, maybe?
I think it's the same both
Something like
places.
that, whatever. But it would be interesting to see if that's possible, because why aren't we just counting citizens? I mean,
Well, if you go back to the Constitution, at that point we were counting slaves because they were important to be counted.
they were counted as
3/5.
3/5.
Right, but the South wanted them to be counted as full.
So are they going to argue now that the illegals should be counted as 3/5?
No, I don't think they're going to go. I don't think anybody will go near that one. But you know,
Let's throw it out there. Let's be controversial.
we are being controversial.
You'll be banned in heart.
And we're going to be so controversial, we're going to take a break now and let you stew on
Let
what we
you
said.
stew on that
And
thought.
then we will come back with Dan's solution to everything. Stay tuned to Reclaiming America.
Re-welcoming?
Re-welcoming.
All right, welcome back. Just can't get her to do it. Welcome back to, what is it now? Welcoming America? It's actually Reclaiming America.
I mean, we should get your act together, sir.
I'm just going to let it go. So, interesting topic we're going to switch to.
I think we're going to go west, young man.
Go west. California.
The land of opportunity.
Was it California? Is that what the
California,
what they
the
said?
land where the gold is, the streets are with
Yep.
gold, all the land of opportunity.
So, in case you aren't aware, and I don't know how you couldn't be, California has now enacted a $20 minimum wage for fast food workers. And only the fast food workers. And they've even redefined what a fast food worker is. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
So, curiously, one of Gavin Newsom's biggest supporter happens to own a bunch of Panera Breads, and bread shops are exempt
What a
from that.
coincidence.
Shocking.
Obviously, they're not fast food.
That's what they're saying, although now people...
If you've been to a Panera Bread, you understand why it's not fast food.
I actually like Panera Bread. But
So
anyway,
do I.
interesting to see now that this has gone into effect, the first, the repercussions have started to hit that apparently no one thought about.
Or no one cared.
Oh, there were people that cared.
No, the
They
powers
just weren't
that be.
listened to. Oh, the powers that be are too stupid to care. So anyway, I believe it was Pizza Hut has laid off somewhere around 1,500 workers already. McDonald's, a similar number.
Yeah, and McDonald's took their burgers, and the average cost of everything in the store went up between $2 and $4 overnight.
And who does that affect the most, Bill?
I would think it's the poor people, the poorer people.
Somehow, I don't see Gavin Newsom going to lunch at McDonald's every day. Even during shutdowns, he was going to the most expensive restaurant
Maybe
he
he'll
could
be
find.
the one, though, buying all those tickets on the wall that you can rip this off and get you free lunch and take it inside as paid for.
Yeah, it's just lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. They portray it as we're trying to help the lower income people, and they're hurting them more than anything else.
Consistently.
You know, let's say you've got a family of 4 and you're going to go to McDonald's. Back in our day, you know, what would it have cost you? $10 to feed the family of 4?
Well, it wasn't that long ago you could go to White Castle and get a 10-cent hamburger.
Oh, back in your day, a
Back then,
burger,
we had to go hunt for the
a
meat
burger,
first.
fries, and a
Had to
Coke
find
was
the
under
meat
a
first.
buck. Remember those?
Oh, I do remember those.
So a family of 4 could eat for $4. Now, $40.
I don't think so.
Probably more than that. Well, I will confess, we went to McDonald's. I ate at McDonald's for the first time in I don't know how many years. This past Monday, coming home from surgery, I was starving. I got a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit and a coffee. And my wife got whatever she got, I don't remember. And it was $21. Now, extra large coffee, I'll give you that. And she got a sandwich and I think she got soda. $21 here. So Cali, it's going to be $30. How does, here are people that are screaming we can't afford to pay our rent. One of the ways they might get by is on the dollar menu, which doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe the $5 menu.
And
Anyway,
yet this is helping.
I've got a Burger King price list from California.
Well, before you give that, let me just say, I actually saw something on YouTube this morning where they had a man who owned, I believe it was 40 whatever Burger Kings. He's closing multiple shops, and he's going to be automating because he was trying to avoid raising prices, which then goes to, go ahead.
The consumer.
Goes to who pays for it? The people at the checkout.
So how much are they going to pay?
All right, so for example, if you want a Whopper meal
So Whopper, fries, and Coke.
and a Coke, it's $11.89. Now, if you want to upsize that to make it medium, it's $1.29 more, and to make it large, it's another $2.50. So you're not talking about feeding people for $40. You want a crispy meal, it's $11.49. You want a Texas Whopper, it's $15.09 meal.
What city is this? Does it say?
This is California. This is based on California.
California.
Prices.
So I'm
Okay.
I'm wondering if that's like out in the suburbs. I wonder what it would be in, say, Frisco or downtown LA. Does it say in there?
I'm trying to figure out.
Because that would be even more telling of a number. Because the cities are always higher.
No, that's the.
But let's use that. Let's say a medium meal would be $11 and let's call it 13, just to have a round number. And family of 4, $52 at Burger King, which I'm sorry to say is the most disgusting fast food there is, other than maybe Taco Bell. Yeah, I said.
Did you hear that? Burger King being the most disgusting food.
Burger King and their flame broiled. I know too much. I worked at McDonald's. I know too much. And again, this is all to basically pander to the people that they're hurting the most. And as you said off air before we came on for this segment, these are not fast food workers that's not a career for most people. Back in the day, at 16 years old, on my 16th birthday, I started working at McDonald's. And it became a career for me for a while. I actually worked my way up. I was a store manager at 22.
Really?
Yep.
Did not know that. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. I started at 16. I was a swing manager at 18. Then an assistant manager, then a first assistant, or whatever the title was, and then store manager at 22. And I was making, you ready for this? About $25,000.
I was going to say 25 grand. That's about right.
A little less than that a year, but I had good benefits too. And that was with the corporation.
I just found Wendy's.
Okay.
And Wendy's, if you want to go to Wendy's there, let's see, a single now is,
I like Wendy's, so.
let's see, $11.59 for the sandwich combination. If you want the triple, $14.39.
And about the same as Burger King.
Son of the Baconator, that sounds disgusting. $12.19. 10-piece nuggets, $12.
Look up In-N-Out, because that's the big one out there. That'll be interesting to see In-N-Out. But going back to what I was talking about, one of the advantages I will say as a store manager is I got McDonald's stock. Now that was huge.
Nearby In-N-Out burgers prices went up 25%.
25%.
Right.
Since this went into effect.
Right. But there's another thing I didn't realize out there. Let's see.
In-N-Out is huge in California. We don't have them on the East Coast. At least not that I know of. I don't know of any. But $13 for a Wendy's single? Really? And fries? Food cost, I'll tell you right now.
Take a family of 4. Where are you going?
Well, I'm thinking of the food cost. So I'm way out of date. But back in the day, I can kind of estimate where it is. Soda probably costing them, including the cup, maybe 15, 20 cents.
All right, this affected...
Max.
I have the law here now. The law affected 500,000 people who work at fast food places.
Yep, we'll now have their
previous minimum wage was $16. They're now up to $20.
Yep.
The law applies to restaurants offering limited or no table service, of which is part of a national chain with at least 60 establishments nationwide.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean you have to have 60.
Yeah.
It means it applies to you if you're part of a chain
so
that has 60
or better. So if we have Bill and Dan's Burger Shop, and we happen to have one in California and 59 in North Carolina.
Right.
That one in California
is paying $20 an hour.
$20 an hour.
All the sense.
So here's what's going to happen. One, and it's already happening. These people that are working there are going to get their hours cut. It's just like when Obamacare went through and put that 29.5 hour in.
32 hours was the cut.
Everybody got cut underneath. Well, they cut them all to under 30.
Right, under 32.
All right, so they didn't have to pay Obamacare. Now they're going to get cut even more. They're going to go to automation. That's happening everywhere. I hate those kiosks, by the way.
Me too.
I won't use them. I will not eat at the places before I'll use one of them. And then, they're closing stores. Like I said, this one guy owns something like 40, and he mentioned 5 or 6 places that he's going to close. So roughly 10% of his stores, he's just going to close them. Well, and I'm sure they are not in Hollywood or the upper scale places.
They're in the place that costs more to survive because you got to have security and whatever else.
Exactly. Those are the ones that are going to get closed. So again, now you're going to create a food desert in those areas. How does that help these people?
It doesn't.
So why are they doing it?
But,
I'm giving you right down the middle of the plate, Bill. Swing.
Well, they're doing it because they can.
They're doing it because they're pandering.
Yeah, they can, and it's going to deliver a vote, which is why we're violating Supreme Court doctrine right now with paying back college kids' loans. The Supreme Court says, no, you can't, and he said, yes, I will. And he's doing it. They just paid another $6 billion off this week of student loans.
Where's the House on this?
They can't do anything about it.
Impeach his ass. It's never going to go anywhere. Just impeach him. It's not going to affect the election other than to call it all out. He's never gonna get tried in the Senate. You and I both know that.
They're not going to try the other guy they
So
got
why
there,
not
Mayorkas.
impeach him?
Well, they may. Who knows? Time is coming.
They've had how many years now to do something?
They have been in charge for years.
And they what?
Have not been in charge for years.
When did they get in charge?
Last time they took over.
Which was what?
Within the last couple of years.
22?
Yeah, it's 2
And what
years.
year is it, Bill?
We haven't got to 2 years yet. It's a year and change.
January 22.
All right, I'll give you that. All right, 2 years and plus. All right. I was going with November. Okay. Well, actually, no. They got elected in 22. They took
Okay.
office in 23.
23, 24, right?
20. They're not.
How many years is that?
You're not paying attention
I
to
know
the way
I
this is
am paying-
count. You're not paying attention to how this is done. You're elected in 22. You take office in 23.
23.
So they have not been in position for 2 years yet. They've been in here for a year and change.
Okay, and let's set that aside. And what have
And-
they done?
Very little.
You're being generous. They haven't done a damn thing.
Very little.
Again, why? I mean, their job is to hold this idiot responsible for his actions, and they're not willing to do it. Because why? Oh, well, we're worried about the election. We don't want to get him out. You're not going to get him out. He is never going to be removed from office. He may get 25th out to put
Well, not until they
Michelle
do something
in.
with Harris. And she's already said she's not running.
who, Harris?
No, Michelle.
No, but what she says and what she does is two different things, Bill. Come on, you know how that works. Again, if you want to, I always look at, I don't care about the far left, I don't care about the far right. They're gone in both directions. You've got roughly 80% of the people in the middle. There are tons of people out there that are completely unaware of what's going on
Right.
because they
Choose to
go
ignore.
watch.
They choose to ignore.
Who's on NBC News now at night? Not Tom
I don't
Brokaw.
have a clue.
Last one I ever watched was Tom Brokaw. That's how long it's been.
I
But
can tell
that's
you-
who they're getting their news
I can
from.
tell you there's someone on CBS, a woman named Nora somebody. That's
I
about the
don't
best
even know.
I can
I
do.
don't watch that stuff.
And I can't tell you anything about ABC or NBC.
And they're never going to talk about it. They're going to make it seem like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. To how much? $6 billion another.
Yep.
Which we remember when we couldn't afford $5 billion for a wall, but suddenly we can afford $6 billion for this.
Yeah, and we're asking the people that have never gone to college to pay for those that went to
Yeah,
Harvard and to Yale and a bunch of other schools, and we should pay off their education.
Are we
bills.
going to, the plumber? Are we going to give him $40,000 for his truck? That's a cheap truck these days.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
His tools are probably another $40,000. His training, we're going to forgive any of that?
No, they're going to give you the privilege of paying more.
So, but who are we going to be more likely to get use from in our life? The plumber that's going to come and repair our houses and businesses and all that, or the woman with her women's studies degree?
I think that's an obvious answer. Not even going to even bother responding to that one.
see
That's
the one
called
on-
rhetorical.
Did you see the one on TikTok?
Which one? I've
So-
seen a lot.
Multicolored hair, nose ring, the whole thing. Has 2 degrees plus a certificate. And
Yeah.
cannot understand why she cannot find a job other than being like a receptionist. Well, someone who I shall not name, me, might have taken her degree that she held up and blew it up a little bit. Yeah, women's studies. $100,000 in debt with a women's studies degree.
And what she's going to do with that, she's going to go study women.
It's. I will give them one point that they've made is that these kids were promised the world if they got a college degree, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker. And they're still pitching that. You can't. I see it all every day. You can't get anywhere in life unless you have a college degree. Well, I've got a son. I've got friends. I've got family members who are doing quite well on a high school diploma, but are working the trades.
I have a son with a college degree that's working the trades, and he's doing very well.
My advice to anyone with a high school age child, male or female right now, is do not send them to college. Find a good trade school that they would be interested in, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, computer science, computer repair. You'll make far more
Networking.
money and you won't be in debt.
And if you're not sure what those areas are going to be, go to the Department of Labor at the U.S. government level. They have a projection of what the next jobs, the next 10 years are going to be like, where the openings are, because they know, for example, my son tells me that he does construction. He's a GC, general contractor. Everyone that he hires to work for him, subcontractors, are all in their 50s.
Yeah, there's going to be a huge gap in about. Yeah, I've heard the same thing many times.
You're talking about plumbers. You're talking about electricians. You're talking about people that do drywall. All that kind of stuff, and they're all suddenly going to be retiring, and those jobs they're going to pay well. They pay well now,
and they're not ones you can really automate.
No.
To a certain extent, some things you may be able to, but in general, you're not going to be automating coming and snaking out a drain, or replacing the pipes in a house, or replacing the wiring in a house for an electrician.
Or cutting off a room that got wet, you can take down the wallboard, replace it. Yeah, that's not going to be a robot.
They may put some automation in here and there, but it's not going to be fully replaced.
Nope.
And those jobs pay very well.
And the other side of computer, and I'm not talking about computer programming. We're talking about computer repair. We're talking about
hardware,
networking
and hardware.
Yeah.
So again, that's what I did for 30 odd years. All these colleges are pushing kids to be programmers. Well, you only need certain numbers of programmers, and by the way, the ones on HB1 visas from India are a hell of a lot cheaper to employ than any American. So we ain't hiring programmers. There is a dearth of people. This is where I made my money. This is where my son makes his. That there's no expertise anymore, relatively speaking, on running network cable, physically repairing a computer. One of the I've talked about. I don't know if I talked about it here or not, but one of the things I used to do when I was hiring people to work under me was give them a test. And I would hand them a computer and say, fix it. You can ask me any question you want. I would have PhDs come in, way above my level of education. I don't know what to do. They couldn't even open the case. I'm not joking either. And then I would have high school kids come in, and they would look at me and go, what's the problem? Oh, there's a thought. You might want to ask somebody what the problem is. PhDs didn't do that. They were trying to figure out how to open the case. Long story short, what I would do is disconnect the power cable from the CD-ROM drive. That's all I would do. It's literally open the case, plug it back in, done. The high school kids would normally figure it out in about 5 minutes, because they would say, what's wrong with it? Well, I tried to watch this thing on my CD and it didn't work. Oh, really? Well, what did it do?
Nothing.
Well, and they would go from there. The PhDs are, they're looking at the kid, they're doing this. Never ask a single question, because, they're above me. Multiple ones. Never fixed it. I would hire the high school kid.
And you did
some of these jobs were paying 6 figures.
Yep. Understood.
So that's why my advice to anyone these days is seriously, now, if you want to be a doctor, obviously got to go to school for that. But if you're not sure what you want to do...
I don't think you could do an internet doctor's degree, though.
They might do better than some of the doctors, although my doctors recently were fantastic.
Okay.
But I've seen some bad ones out there. But
Anyway, I think we're going to leave you thinking about the doctorates and what they do and don't do. And we got to come back shortly as we take another break in Reclaiming America.
Fine. You got it right this time.
Get it right every time.
Glad you didn't say good morning, America.
We're back to Reclaiming America. Dan and I are discussing all the problems of the world. And Dan is still thinking, which is a new experience for Dan this week, and he's enjoying it. And we're going to now go into the world of sports.
Oh, boy.
And, I want to do a little bit of conversation about women's basketball, because as we know, as we're taping, the Final Four has not met in the women's sport. And I saw you yawn, and I think 12.5 million people think you're wrong.
Mention men's now.
All right, men's now.
Basketball, Bill. I don't get too craps about basketball. Sorry, it's not. But go on.
I think what you're seeing now is a resurgence in women's ball, and I think the reason you're seeing it is because they play a much truer form of the game. It's not just monsters throwing their shoulders and reaching down for a basket because they're that tall. It's actual athletes who have to work to drive in and put a basket up or shoot from the corner. Is there any problem with what I'm saying, sir?
Yeah. Even Greta's like, what did he just... Are you implying that NBA players are not athletes? Or
No, I'm
Division One level college?
I would have more respect for the guys
No,
in the
Bill.
NBA. Could I finish, please? If they raise the basket 1 to 2 foot, then they have to do something with it, not reach down to make a basket.
You continue digging your grave. I'm enjoying this.
So, with all said, though, I think that we need to give some credit to a woman named Caitlin Clark, who is coming out of Iowa, who is leading in everything. I mean, she's a phenomenal. They call her a generation player, and they're absolutely correct. The woman basically does everything you could possibly think of doing. She can drive a ball. She can shoot from the outside.
Can she dunk?
Probably, but I haven't seen it. The nice
Apparently
part
that
about
takes
her
no
is
skill.
she's not afraid to pass off. She's not a ball hog. I think she's got a whole package there, this woman. And what's interesting, if you start looking at Caitlin, she's already earned $3.1 million in college from
More power to her for that. I have no problem with that.
No, I don't either. And she's already been offered WNBA, which only starts you at $77,000.
That's because they don't make any money.
Right, and they're looking at. There's also a 3-on-3 league that started up. It's a men's league, and she's been offered $5 million to play on that league, and it runs separately from the WNBA, so she could actually do both. But anyway, what I really want to get into when I talk about women's ball is Louisiana State University, LSU, who I think was on LSD. When you start talking about what they were up to, because they were absolutely disgusting the way they behaved. I'm old school, which means during the Star Spangled Banner, your butt is out there standing and respecting the flag and the people that died for that flag. And instead, what this group has done is they go back in the locker room for that, and they come out when it's over. When you ask the coach, what's the rationale? She goes, that's just the way we do things. We come out and warm up, and we go back inside immediately. And by some coincidence, when the last note is played on the banner, they come tripping out to do their game. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm glad that the Louisiana governor is trying to put a resolution through to their board of governors that if you refuse to come out for the salute and the song,
The national anthem.
That song there, not God Bless America, we'll do the other
He's
one.
on a roll right now.
Then you lose your scholarship, which I think I'm in favor of.
It's a state school, right?
It is a state school. So
it would be a legitimate thing.
So I think that's positive. But then there was also the misbehavior. And, they have, there are bad boys playing in one league, there are bad girls playing in this league. I mean, we had one place for LSU who they showed it when the LSU beat Iowa last year for the championship. This woman, after she won around putting the L in the woman's face that you lost, you're a big loser. During the game, when Clark was warming up for this matchup in the Elite Eight, she came out with a crown. She won, and she put it on her chair right in front of Caitlin so that she would see that they were defending.
How'd that work out for her?
It worked out real well. She got hurt early in the game, and she fouled out of the game in the last part of the game, which many people cheered for. And but anyway, salutes to Caitlin and Iowa, and there are women like Britt, I believe, is on. I forget her first name, was playing on UConn, and there's another one up there that's playing well also. These are great athletes. They have a future for themselves wherever they want to go. LSU, grow up.
Well, as a world-class trash talker on the field, and I was very good, there's a rule that you always have to live by. It ain't cocky if you back it up. And she didn't back it up. If you're going to trash talk, you better wear a crown out and all that. You damn well better back it up. Otherwise, you're fair game. And I have no respect for her then.
And she's been on the air now complaining that people are saying bad words about her.
And that's where I'm like, nuh-uh. You have nothing to say. You want to and I trash talk like crazy. And there were times I got my ass handed to me by the guy I was trash talking. At the end of the game, you go up, you shake their hand, you have a laugh, and you move on. If you're a lineman, we have conversations, usually involving the other lineman's mother or sister or other various things. And they are not the kindest of things. But Generally speaking, sometimes it gets nasty, but generally speaking, it's all in good fun. It's chirping at each other. But there are those times where you'd sit there and it would start turning a little nasty. And there was one guy, he was in my face, and I looked at him, I go, "You're down 28 points in the fourth quarter. Shut up," And then I kicked his ass on the next play and sacked the quarterback. But anyway,
But enough about you.
And then I turned and just looked at him. I have no problem with her wearing the crown out and putting it on the chair. I really don't.
I think that
But
was just
she
a
didn't
little
back
overboard.
it up.
She was a little
Right.
overboard.
Pre-game, I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with her pulling the L loser at the end of a game. To me, there's a distinct difference there. Pre-game, during the game, you want to trash talk, go for it. Personally, as someone who did it, I have no issue with it. End of the game, it stops. You don't trash talk someone after the game. Remember Terrell Owens?
Do?
I mean, world class, universal class trash talker. I mean, I love the fact he went to the Dallas Star and did that. I loved it during the game. What I didn't like was him disrespecting people off the field. Right? That's the difference to me. And that's what this girl did. Right? You don't go up and L in somebody's face and call them a loser. That is clear disrespect. And that's where I have a problem with it. Talking about the anthem, where's the coach? If I were coaching that team, what country are you in? You're going to stand, and if you don't want to stand, you ain't going to play.
Well,
period.
The coach took him back in the locker room, and then when she tried to explain it was just part of their routine, they went back and looked, and they did the same thing in every game they played this season.
Right, because the coach is more worried about her win-loss record, or his. I don't know if it was a male or female coach, to be honest with you.
It was a woman, Macaulay, I think her name is.
I got to do what my players want. No, you don't. Ben, all you got to do is once. Star player, middle of the season, if they were doing that, you will stand. You don't want to put your hand over your heart or salute or whatever, fine. But you're going to stand and you're going to show respect. And if you're not willing to do that, you're on the bench this game. One time is all it would take. When Kaepernick didn't want to, he started kneeling. See ya.
Except it caught on like a disease.
Third-rate, nobody quarterback who got lucky for a little streak and made millions off of it. I would have done what they did, cut his ass. And don't think that, talent was the reason they cut. If he could have backed it up, they would have kept him.
Yeah, but he couldn't.
But he couldn't.
Again, the person that would give you an example of that would be Joe Namath.
Perfect example. Universal level trash talker.
When he was about to win the first Super Bowl, I think Super Bowl III, he called out the Green Bay and told them he was going to kick their butt.
Yep.
And he backed it up. They won. It wasn't.
And if he had lost, I think he would have been the first to say, "You got me.
They were a better team today."
You got me.
Anyway, it's time to wrap up our activities for today. Believe it or not, we've done an hour's worth of solving all the problems of the world
Some of
with
them fly
great
by.
solutions. And I'm glad you're back. It's good to have you back.
And remember, all of you who support the NBA, Bill says you're not athletes.
Raise the basket by a foot, we'll talk.
They need to raise it about 3 feet, Bill, because those guys. Have you been to an NBA game?
Not in this lifetime.
They're on the top
It's
of the
time to
backboard.
say, see you guys soon. Find us at. Got you first.
Well, right now, YouTube, Spotify, because someone hasn't been putting TikTok videos up. He's going to put at least 3 up this week. There, I just committed for you. You're stuck.
I can get that done this weekend. The problem is, where am I putting them?
I don't know.
We'll figure that
Bill's
out.
been making videos. We don't know where he's posting them.
They're out
Wrap it
there.
up, Bill.
All right. See everybody again in a week on Reclaiming America. And we want to thank our executive producer, Miss Greta.